I'm Amber Davies and welcome to Call to Stage. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. Hi guys, welcome back to Call to Stage with me, Amber Davies. Now we are so incredibly lucky to be doing this episode. I have the incredible Melanie La Barrie next to me. Hello!
Hello, sweetheart. I'm the lucky one.
No!
I get to be here with a whole Strictly star. I'm excited.
Me and Melanie just went deep delved into Strictly, didn't we?
We did. We had to find out all the tea.
Yeah, all the tea.
All the tea.
Can I ask you a question? I ask everybody, all of my guests this. Have you got any quirky pre-show rituals? You can pick any character you've played.
This is for every character.
No.
I like to be the last person to get ready. Like, I like to wait until the very last minute to get into my clothes and get out. You know, like if it's a heavy makeup, then I tend to learn how to do the makeup plot really quite quickly. But I like to I don't know why it is. I'm like, because I know what happens to me when I put on the clothes and I become the character. It's a whole embodiment. Yeah. And sometimes the character is, it's a real heft and a weight to them. And so when you put on the clothes, that kind of filters into your body. So I like to, literally, if it's 5, I remember on Juliet, I used to be getting into my clothes at beginners.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So as long as you possibly can,
as
take it.
late as I could. And sometimes these poor dressers who are if I have to share a principal dresser with somebody else and somebody else wants to be the last person to get in, and we have to always negotiate and it's plan, and it's like, come to me after, and it's always trying to steal somebody's time as late as possible.
Mm-hmm. Is the costume for you when the character is planted?
I think it takes a long time, I think I worry directors a lot, because for me, when I'm in rehearsal, I just want to know where I'm standing, where I'm going next, and I will do no work.
I am taking that with me.
I will hardly, you could barely get me to learn the lines. I'm just I'm going to have the script until the last minute. And I will do no work. And then, because I always say I'm just waiting for the person to arrive.
Okay.
I'm waiting, because I think sometimes just in the doing and in the being with other characters and in the in the plotting, the blocking and learning the music and doing bits of choreography, because I am not a dancer, but they keep trying to make me dance and doing bits, and doing all of that. I feel that those things just kind of inform, and the more time you spend with the text, that information just it filters into you through a kind of funnel of doing.
Wow.
And then I just wait. And then one day, it just arrives. But I think that's really worrisome, because I know it's going to arrive, but nobody else knows that. So oftentimes directors are just looking at me, putting in no effort and going, are you going to do anything? Do it?
I've hired you.
It's like I will tell a joke once. Like if there's a joke in the script, I will tell that joke once in the room, and then I'm no longer trying to make anybody in the room laugh. Yeah. Because I'm like, this now. Yeah. And I will try it different ways, and I'll then, and they'll be like, I like that time when you did it. I'm like, I know. Yeah. But I'm just doing now. This is for me now. This is for me to just, but I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm not doing this for anybody in the room.
I'm obsessed with you. We are 5 minutes into this episode, and it is my favorite episode yet. What about auditions then?
For auditions, however, I am prepared.
Okay.
Because that's my work. I always say 95% of the work that I do is auditioning. The doing of the show is the reward. Wow. It's the cherry on top. We don't work for a living. We audition for a living. We get judged for a living.
Period. Period.
Yeah, it's true, because you get judged in your auditions, you get judged online, you get judged in your reviews, you get judged every night with the applause that you get. You get judged at stage door, you get judged by your peers, You get judged, and that's what we do. And you have to have, the metal to be able to do that, to be able to withstand that. But for an audition, I like to be prepared. That preparedness will look very different. I often don't memorize things.
No, because it's not a memory test.
Yeah. Also, if you want me to learn it, pay me.
Period. Period.
I'm like, pay me. When people like be off book for audition, I'm like, nah.
Pay me.
Pay me.
Pay me that paycheck.
Yeah.
I'll be
and then I'll learn it. Because that's, but also, it's just, but I'm very, very familiar with the text. I'm very familiar with the material that I'm going to do. I'm not preparing 7 scenes and 4 songs. I will prepare 2 scenes and 1 song, and that's what you're going to hear.
Nice.
And I am prepared to work in the audition room.
Nice.
When I go into auditions, that for me, I like auditioning because that's my opportunity to want to know if I want to work with you as well. Right? Do I like the way that you talk to actors? Do I like the way, and I know
direct.
You direct, and do I like your vision? Do I like the way that you hold a room? Do I like, how you make art?
Wow.
And, and I know that when we audition, yes, we're trying to get a job and we're trying to, we have to pay our bills. But I always say, I will always work. I will go and stack shelves in a supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
I will, go and
You always make money.
I will always make money. I'm smart enough to make money. And I have no shame. And I have no ego about working. But when I audition, I want to make art, and I want to make joy, because not everything is art, but some things are just joy. And I want to make joy. And do I love how you make joy? And can we make joy together? And I've had some fantastic auditions. I've been in there for 45 minutes and then never get called ever again. But I've had the time of my life. Yeah. Because I was like, if the opportunity comes to make art with you again, then I will love it.
I will love it.
Yes. But this wasn't the time. And I get sad, and I get mad, and I cuss them out in my house, and I cry, and then I get over it. Because, people say, they're like, oh, you have to do an audition and then forget about it. No, sometimes you can't.
No.
Sometimes you're carrying that around with you until somebody tell you no, and then you have to cry, and that's okay.
And that is okay. That is okay. So you were born and raised in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did your love for performing start? Where was that seed?
Apparently, and I've been told this by reliable sources because it's my mom.
The most reliable
source ever. Apparently, I used to like to get up onto the table and sing songs.
Okay.
For my mom when I was 3 years old, and I would sing, "Dream of me when you're lonely," and with my little dress and. Which is weird because I am a weird, shy, and awkward person.
Really?
Yes. In life, I don't like talking to people. I don't like meeting new people. It's like the most terrifying and worst thing in the world for me.
Oh, okay.
Because I find that tough. But I think the thing that I figured out very early on was that the stage or performing was the safest place in the world for me.
Aww.
Because I could be there doing a thing that I enjoyed, and in that space and in that time, nobody could hurt me.
No.
And when you're on stage, you feel that, even though we're under pressure to do things well, in the moment of doing, nobody can hurt you.
Yeah. I've never thought of it like that. And also, you're not you.
No.
You're somebody else.
Yeah. And even if you are, you're singing a song as you, or you're dancing as you, or it's still another you. It's a different you. It's a you in a space of just creation and of pure just making, pure doing. And you just get to do that. And when I'm singing a song, in the middle of singing a song, or if I'm saying a poem, in the middle of doing a poem, they can't do anything.
That is incredible. I've never, ever, ever thought of it like that. That is wonderful. God, that really changes your whole perspective on things.
Yeah, because you just do something that's safe. People think you're taking a huge risk, but if you're an art maker, you're just doing the thing that's most natural to you.
Yeah.
And so it's like breathing.
When did you think this is going to be my career?
I always wanted to tell stories. I like telling stories. It's like, because again, if you're a storyteller, then in the middle of a story, people are just looking at you rapt and, then you're just like, you're in control of time and space at that point. And in Trinidad, we have an art form called Calypso, which is the social, political commentary of things that are happening at the time, or their historical narratives, and it's all set to music. And I liked singing Calypso, and I loved Calypsonians because I loved the things that they did, the way that they could just conjure up what was happening in a way that was funny or interesting or, poetic and beautiful. And I like singing Calypso. And so I started singing Calypso, and I started going to competitions when I was at school, and then people used to do little concerts, and then they would pay you. So I started singing for money since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I just kept doing that. Now, when I was 8 years old, I was also standing in front of my mirror with my little hairbrush doing my Oscar speech.
Wow.
Because I was obsessed with the movies and obsessed with, with the Oscars and looking at the people in the beautiful dresses and the bright lights of cinema and television and and all these soap operas, they're not horrible, but these fantastic soap operas like Dynasty and Dallas, and where you see all these fantastical human beings that exist in a kind of a way that I, who come from the wrong side of the tracks, don't exist.
Yeah.
It was a real fun to see all of those things, and you just go, gosh, I want to do that. And so I didn't know how to do drama, because drama is not a subject in schools in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't have a drama college in Trinidad and Tobago, and theatre was a thing that only a few people did. It was a real closed shop. Where I came from, because I didn't go to the school where these things happen. And so Calypso was the way for me to get into storytelling. I realize I'm just like moving up.
No, it's fine.
was a way for me to get into storytelling. And then I managed to catch the eye of a songwriter, a very popular Calypsonian and songwriter called David Rudder, who wanted me to sing a song, and it was just the right song at the right time, because we had an attempted coup in Trinidad and Tobago for a few days in 1990, and I had recorded this song at 16 years old from the perspective of Mother Trinidad, basically saying to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I will always be there for you. And that song became a massive hit in Trinidad and Tobago. And then it just kind of like, things just started to happen to me from there. Everything that I do is always an adventure.
Yeah.
And it's my life is a series of me just going, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
So we got a radio program, me and another who's a famous music maker, Marshall Montano. We had a radio program in Trinidad and Tobago when we were 16. And then I went on to host some television programs, to be a host of a talent show on TV. And all of that while I was like trying to do my O-levels and my A-levels, and some more successfully than others. And I stayed on radio for a very long time and carried on singing. And theatre was the very last thing that I went to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you did your debut over here in 2003.
No, I did my debut in 2000 in a play that was brought from Trinidad and Tobago. And the first theatre that I worked in was the Barbican. The Pit Theatre in Barbican.
Stunning.
Yeah, so there was a play that I did in 1998, which was like my first play.
Yes, okay.
And that play was brought over here in 2000 for it was something that used to happen, and I don't think it happens anymore, called the Barbican International Theatre Event.
Right.
And they made us all re-audition for our parts, because
Still do that now, actually.
I know. They were only bringing half of the cast.
Okay.
To London, and the other half of the cast would be British actors, and so that was part of the cultural exchange. And I came here in 2000 to do that play, and while I was doing that play, I got offered another play. While I was doing that other play, got offered representation, and then got my first commercial musical. I'd never done a musical before I came to this country.
And was Ragtime your first musical?
Ragtime was my first West End musical. My first commercial musical was actually Fame.
Wow!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Never done a musical in my life.
And you started with Fame.
I started with Fame, and I started playing Miss Sherman. I was 28 years old when I did my first musical.
Wow. Who was in the Fame cast?
So Debbie Currup
Right.
was my Carmen, and it was a tour. It was like a national tour. Debbie Currup was my Carmen.
And you were touring the UK.
Yeah, big tour. And I had a great time because there I was, like not long in the country, like, a couple of years in the country, and just getting to explore the country.
Yeah.
And I love this country, and I love London. And my partner always says to me, he says, you're not British by birth, but you are definitely a Londoner.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Because I will fight for London.
Yeah,
I'm like, just like, nobody can say anything about London. But yeah, it was my tour. And then I got my first West End show was Ragtime. And I didn't even get it. I didn't get the show. So I failed that audition. I didn't get the show. And then sadly somebody had to drop out. And so the first cover, Sarah, got moved up to the part. And then they needed somebody to either be a swing or to be in the ensemble. And so they had to hold a quick audition.
And
they brought me back in. And I had to learn the show in a week. And I learned my West End debut. I learned Ragtime in a week.
That's a good story, though.
It's great.
That is such a good story.
Because also when you're not from here, right? I don't know. I didn't know the West End was like a big deal.
Yeah.
To me, it was just like me just doing what it is I always did. My first play was at the Barbican.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
You started high.
So I was like, I'm just doing this other thing. And I was like working really hard and watching the show every night. And I was like, this is just what people do, right?
No. It's not. No, you're learning your first West End show in a week.
Week time. Yeah.
Wow.
It was cool.
That is amazing. And also, I forgot to say this at the start, congratulations on your What's-on-Stage Award.
Thank you.
That
the
is
first time I won anything.
Really?
Yay!
You'll be winning an Olivier next. Come on. You've got Olivier written on your forehead. So you won a What's-on-Stage Award for your role in Hadestown.
Yes.
And it's Hermes.
Hermes.
And
Hermes is the fashion designer.
yeah, sorry.
I mean, if somebody wants to send us some Hermes,
yeah, that would be
we
great.
would like it. Very much.
I went to see Hadestown. You were no longer there, but what a
Beautiful show.
Wow.
Beautiful show.
It is beautiful. And you were in the original cast.
I was. And you had Zach on your show. Who
did.
was the original Hades.
He was the original Hades. So who was your original cast?
So it was Donald Finn, Grace Hodgett-Young.
Yes, Grace has been on.
Yes. And you had Gloria Initri.
Yes.
And Zachary James and myself.
Who did Cedric Neal take over?
Me.
Oh, is it a gender neutral part?
Well,
It can be anything.
It could be anything and anybody, yeah.
Oh! Wow, you
I
played
know.
that part.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, what a gorgeous, gorgeous track. And you kind of like steal a lot of the moments.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're just there the whole time, dressed in silver. I mean, they can't miss you. Just like a little shining light in the corner there. And you talk all the time.
How was that experience? So, did you auditioned for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you talk about the experience or the audition to the offer to...
So I had never seen the show.
No.
And I had never heard the soundtrack. But when it got announced that it was going to be opening in London, I was on X at the time. I'm no longer on it, but I was on X at the time. And on X, formerly Twitter, I reposted the It's Coming to London. I didn't tag anybody, but I reposted it and I just said, I'm available.
Okay. I love that.
I just put that, and then I just left it. I didn't chase, didn't ask for an audition, I was just like, because I like nonsense on the internet.
Yeah, me too.
I love putting nonsense on the internet. I will talk my whole business out on, well, not really, because nobody knows anything about me, but, like, I love social media foolishness.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and also it's just fun, right? Like my social media is just a fun space.
Yes.
Because also I will block without without even, I don't want an explanation, I will just block. So I only have like...
You are iconic. You are the most iconic.
I just have
superstar.
fun things. No,
I will block.
I will block. I don't need an excuse. From the time you start to move left, that's it. Kablock. That's it.
I'm not going to live by that now. Oh my God.
I don't even need to give a chance. I'm not even giving chances. Like the first whiff of left movement.
I love you for that.
But so I just put that on the internet. And then, of course, they were auditioning in London, but I was in New York doing Juliet at the time. So I had to do all my auditions via tape. And so I sent my first tape, and then they were like, so we're going to do a Zoom audition, and we'll tape the Zoom audition to send to the people in New York. I'm here. So I did a Zoom audition, and then it was terrible reception, and they couldn't, the tape was awful. The tech failed us, and so I had to retape it, and I sent that in. And then Rachel Chapkin happened to be there auditioning in New York for Hadestown Broadway. And so they said, okay, you go in. And I went in on my birthday.
Oh.
It was my 49th birthday. And I had plans for the day. All I was going down was to Cat's Delicatessen to have a pastrami sandwich. Nice. Because that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do with my life on that day. I said, I have no other plans. Because I had a show. I had no other plans. We were going to the pub afterwards, like nothing. But I want a pastrami sandwich.
Yeah.
So I dressed up to go for my pastrami sandwich. But I had to do this audition first. It was my final. And we went in. And it was a great audition. It was, Rachel is tough but fair. She works you very hard.
Yeah.
And we, did things kind of over and over and over again. And, with new thoughts. And I love that, that again. As I said, that's my work.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And, and then I left. And I went and had my pastrami sandwich. And then I went into my show. And then I went to the pub.
And then you got the job.
And then I got the job. But it took ages as well. It took forever. So I always say, I think I was about third or fourth down the list. They asked some people and they probably weren't available. And then they got to...
No.
I don't know. It's like people, they take forever to do these things. And I had not thought about it. But I did say, as I was leaving, I remember saying, I feel like I have something to contribute to this show that had never been contributed before.
Wow.
I offer that. But I can do nothing else but offer that. And that was that, And then eventually they came back with it. And, I had to leave Juliet on Broadway. And I literally flew on New Year's Eve. And we said Happy New Year up in the sky, my partner and I. Aww. And then we landed on the 1st. And then we started rehearsal on the 2nd. And... Wow. And I was so jet lagged that we did the first 2 weeks of rehearsal. And then they were like, okay, so now we'll run it. And I was like, I have never said these words in my life. And they said, Mel, we have you on video. And I was like, no, it was me. Nothing went in.
Really?
Literally, I was just like, yep, just tell me what you do. Because they'd started rehearsal before. So I had come, we'd had a 1 week of rehearsal in December. And then... I had to go back and finish on Juliet, and then so they carried on rehearsing, and
so you were double booked.
Yeah.
Moving on to Juliet, was that your Broadway debut?
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Never thought. I suppose maybe 20 something years ago, everybody wants to be on Broadway, and so it's kind of the thing that you say. Yeah. You say, oh yeah, I'd love to be on Broadway, and then you carry on doing your work and making your shows, and I've made such beautiful shows. I've gotten the opportunity to create such cool characters in this country, and then I never thought about it again. And so to be 48 years old making my Broadway debut, wow, I will never forget the day, and it remains something that's so special. Broadway is a whole deal. It's a whole. It's big and it's overwhelming, but it's cool.
Is it completely different to London?
Yeah. In
what ways?
It's big. It's, London's big, but London feels like the community is different. Like London, you just kind of feel like everybody's just like your mate.
Yeah, it's true.
It's very fancy.
Okay.
New York is very fancy, and Broadway is very fancy, and everybody in the shows are just really fancy.
Okay.
And So I didn't feel like if they were my mates. Like, I feel like
colleagues.
Yeah, they were like my colleagues and, people that were on Broadway, and the stars were the stars.
Okay,
and,
okay.
It's like today, like in rehearsal for Rome, I met Ramin, and I'd never met Ramin before in my life. And Jordan Lucas, he was like, oh, you all have never met each other before in like the whole time that you've been doing theatre. I was like, no, we had never met each other.
You two are
But I feel like
powerful.
Ramin is my mate.
He is. Ramin is amazing.
But he's like a super. He's like, a bona fide superstar.
Yeah. But
Right.
he's so humble.
But he's just like my mate.
Yeah, he's just...
Whereas, like, I can't, like Andrew DeShields is not my mate.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah. I get you. I get you. I completely get you. And then in 2017, Madame Morrible.
Yeah, oh gosh, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Did you enjoy Wicked?
Yeah.
Have you seen did you go and see the film?
No, you know why? Because I can't wait a whole year intermission for things.
So you do
So
them
I
together.
have to do it together.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I can't be dealing with that, man. I can't even watch episodic television
Because you want the
a
next
week.
one.
Because I have to wait for a whole series to come out. People be talking to me. I'm like, don't speak to me about the thing.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about the thing, because I'm going to watch it in 6 weeks' time when all 6 episodes are out. I can't even wait a week. So could you imagine me trying to wait a
year.
whole year? I was mad at that man. I was like, John M. Chu, I know you're making money, but still. A whole year interval is not the one.
Who was your Elphaba and Glinda?
My Elphaba and Glinda was Alice Fern
Oh,
and Sophie
the
Evans. And they were great. And we stayed for 2 years, and they were my Elphaba and Glinda for both years. And Alice Fern, because I had done Les Mis
Yes.
with Alice back in 2007. And I knew that girl was going to be famous, like, from time. But I was like, you have to wait.
Yeah.
You have to wait. You have to wait for the whole face and the talent and everything to catch up, and for everybody to figure out that you are a superstar.
Yeah.
Because she's one of the most talented people that I have ever encountered in my life. I have so much time and energy and effort for Alice Fern. I will fight people for Alice Fern.
Yeah.
We
need a t-shirt.
I would fight people for Alice Fern. And, and to have her and Sophie, who is just like so genuinely so talented and so sweet.
And they hard workers, both of them.
Such hard workers. I mean, my whole cast was kind of stunning, though.
Yeah.
My whole cast, because I had Bradley Jaden to begin with.
Wow. Did you go, who was after Brad? Was it Ollie?
No, it was David Witts.
Ah, okay. You had a good cast.
Yeah.
You had an elite cast.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we stayed, and we all, Bradley left us. He left us to go off and do other things. But we all, for the most part, stayed for 2 years. So we spent 2 good years with each other.
Aww.
And we just had the most beautiful time.
I love that.
And even now to this day, because even like the kids in the ensemble, I'll see them in other shows. I just saw Ellie Mitchell and Nicole in Hercules, and they're still my kids, They're still my babies.
I love that. Yeah. Some of the other things Melanie has done, well, we're not going to talk about them all now, but Gypsy, Les Mis, Mary Poppins, Ragtime, Going Ape at the Union, The Lorax, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Guys and Dolls, The Wiz.
The Wiz.
I think the Wiz is one of the most underrated musicals in life.
I think so.
I think so.
I think it's
Give the
so
Wiz its
cool.
flowers.
I know. And also, like, bring it back, man. And just, like, do, like, a whole thing. Do, like a revamp of, like, stuff. Just bring it back.
Bring it back.
I had Clive Rowe as the lion.
Wow.
Like, could you imagine? Like, Clive Rowe, the greatest of the greats, right?
I know. And then just in the last couple of minutes of this episode, of this part of the episode, because then I'm going to go on to some quick fire round questions, which won't take too long. You are currently in rehearsals for Rome?
In rehearsals for Rome musical, yes.
How is it going?
It's beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So many talented, gorgeous people with just lending their talents to a glorious musical written by Michael David and Alexander Sejoyan, and they're just to go into something like that and watch everybody throw themselves so wholeheartedly, creatively into a story that is at the same time difficult and wholesome.
What is it about?
So it is about a family of Romani people who have an unfortunate, so they're traveling through a place where they have a breakdown of their troop and their caravan in a pretty hostile environment.
Okay.
And it's how they navigate all of that, how they navigate, and they're quite a interesting group of people.
Okay, this is epic.
Yeah, really funny. Because I suppose people who go through life, working through prejudice or working through people misunderstanding them, they tend to have this fantastic sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because of course that's how you move through something that's difficult. You do it with good grace, you do it with good humor, you do it with a sense of community and family. And that's what this is. This is a really eclectic and madcap family.
I'm obsessed.
Kind of like going through something that is quite tough, and how they keep themselves as a family unit and as a community going and alive, and how they keep their culture alive and precious, and how they pass that on. And and it's just,
it sounds unbelievable.
It's epic. What it is epic. It's just because you have the small thing, which is the family, but then you have the big overarching themes of hope and movement, culture, history, heritage.
Wow.
And how we live through that, how we pass that on, how we celebrate that, how we fight for it, and and be strong with it, and it's just to do that through music.
I know.
And joy, and also, a little bit of heartbreak in there as well.
Yeah.
So
you are mesmerizing.
Oh,
you are, honestly, you're an icon. You're a queen.
I find that so weird.
No.
Because to me, I'm just like a regular person, like going through the market.
There's nothing regular about you, trust me. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Patreon listeners, me and Melanie will be back ASAP with your quick fire round questions. Bye.